Chanukah, oh Chanukah, come light the menorah. Let's have a party, we'll all dance the hora. Gather round the table, we'll give you a treat. Dreidels to play with, Latkes to eat.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. This is a very special Friday night. Not only is it Shabbos, which is special in its own right, but it's the second night of Hanukkah. Now, the tradition is we light our Hanukkah candles before the Shabbat candles because you're not allowed to make a fire on Shabbos. So that's what we will be doing. But to get us in the mood for Shabbos, Joan Wolf is going to sing a song called Sevivon Sof Sof Sof. This is a Sevivon, a top. So the lyrics are top, spin, spin, spin. Sevivon Sof Sof Sof.
Sevivon Sof Sof Sof, Chanukah hu Chag Tov, Chanukah hu Chag Tov, Sevivon Sof Sof Sof, Chag Simcha hu Alam, Nes Gadol haya Hasham, Nes Gadol haya Sham, Chag Simcha hu La'am, Sevivon Sof Sof Sof, Chanukah hu Chag Tov, Chanukah hu Chag Tov, Sevivon Sof Sof Sof, Sevivon Sof Sof Sof, Sevivon Sof Sof Sof, Sevivon Sof Sof Sof.
The tradition is you put the candles in from right to left for the nights of Hanukkah. So this is for the first night. This is the second night. First time I was ever on television, I was 10 years old. There's a show called the Jewish Community Hour, which was on WTOP TV, which is what Channel 9 was called those days. I was 10, my voice had not changed, and I got to do the candle lighting blessings. And I had all of the candles lit. And as I went to put the shamash back in its holder, my finger got into the fourth candle and I burned it. Yes, my first appearance on television. Let's hope we do not repeat that tonight. So this is a shamash. It's this servant candle to the others. Then you light them from the newest to the older one. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Chanukah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asa nisim lavoteinu v'yamim ha'hem b'zman hazeh. By the way, it's only the first night of Hanukkah when you do Shehechianu. Shehechianu is only done for a new event. Now that we've lit the Chanukiah, which is what technically a Hanukkah menorah is called, a Chanukiah, because it's got 9 candles. A menorah only has 7. Sandy Walk will light our Shabbat candles.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
We now welcome the ministering angels, the Malachei Hasharei. We say peace upon you, Shalom Aleichem. We ask them to come in peace, Boachem l'Shalom. We ask them to bless us in peace, Barchuni l'Shalom. And Shabbos is over, we say Zeitchem l'Shalom, to leave in peace, and that they may come back next week. To do Shalom Aleichem, Joan Wolf.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bochem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem leshalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
We'll now do our call to prayer, the Baruch Hu, on page 50 of our Siddur. It is also, you have a page 50 designation in your handout if you're working off of that. If you are so inclined, please rise for the Baruch Hu, but if it's easier for you to remain seated, that is perfectly all right. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, Leolam Evaed. We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe, whose word brings on the evening. With wisdom, you open heaven's gates, and with understanding, you make the ages pass and the seasons alternate. Your will controls the stars as they travel through the skies. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light. You cause day to pass and bring on the night, separating day from night. You command the hosts of heaven. May the living and eternal God rule us always to the end of time. We praise you, O God, whose word makes evening fall. Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael Hamchavta Torah mitzvot chukim mishpatim otanu limadita Al ken Adonai Eloheinu v'shachbenu v'kumenu nasiach b'kukecha v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha Uv'mitzvotecha le'olam voed ki hei v'chayenu ve'orech yomeinu u'vehem negeh yomam v'layla v'avtecha tasir mimenu le'olamim Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Leolam Vaed. And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy might. And these words which I command thee on this day shall be in thy heart, shall be in thy heart, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and thou shalt speak of them when thou sittest in thy house, when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up, and when thou risest up, and thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thy hand, and they shall be for frontlets between thine eyes, and thou shalt write them on the doorposts of thy house, and upon thy gates, that ye may remember and do all of my commandments, and be holy unto your God, unto your God, unto your God.
If you're standing, please be seated. All this we hold to be true and sure. You alone are God. There is none else, and we are Israel, your people. You are our sovereign. You deliver us from the hand of oppressors and save us from the fist of tyrants. You do wonders without number, marvels that pass our understanding. You give us our life. By your help, we survive all who seek our destruction. You did wonders for us in the land of Egypt, miracles and marvels in the land of Pharaoh. You led your people Israel out forever to serve you in freedom. When your children witnessed your power, they extolled you and gave you thanks. Willingly they enthroned you, and full of joy, Moses, Miriam, and all Israel sang this song. Mi chamocha bo'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh, Nora tehilot osefele, Nora tehilot osefele. Who is like you, eternal one, among the gods that are worshipped? Who is like you, majestic in holiness, awesome in splendor, doing wonders? In their escape from the sea, your children saw your sovereign might displayed. This is my God, they said. The eternal will reign forever and ever. And it has been said, the eternal one delivered Jacob and redeemed us from the land of one stronger than ourselves. We praise you, O God, Redeemer of Israel. Hashkivenu, our evening prayer. Grant that we may lie down in peace, eternal God, and raise us up, O sovereign, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel, and for your name's sake, be our help. Shield us from hatred and plague. Keep us from war and famine and anguish. Subdue our inclination to evil. O God, our guardian and helper, our gracious and merciful sovereign, give us refuge in the shadow of your wings. O guard our coming and our going, that now and always we have life and peace. We praise you, O God, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, over Jerusalem, and may I add, over people everywhere on this planet. And we affirm by saying, Amen. So what is Hanukkah? It's not referenced in the Jewish Bible, the Tanakh, although there are some who say it's alluded to in the book of Daniel with the war of the East and the West, but that's a bit of a stretch. What we know about Hanukkah comes from extra biblical sources. The Talmud has basically 8 lines of text, and those are all in the tractate called Shabbat. I'll read you a little bit of it. It says, what is Hanukkah? The rabbis have expounded, beginning with the 25th of Kislev, 8 days of Hanukkah are observed, during which no eulogies are delivered, nor is fasting permitted. For when the Greeks entered the sanctuary, they defiled all the holy oils used for the menorah in the temple. And when the Hashmonean house prevailed and vanquished them, they searched and found only one remaining jar of oil within the Kohen Gadol's seal. Although it contained only enough oil to burn for 1 day, a miracle occurred, and the oil burned for 8 days. A year later, the rabbis designated these days as Yamim Tovim, on which praise and thanksgiving were to be said. That's all it says. There's discussion of who lights the candles, how many Chanukiot you have in the house, where you place it, but in terms of the historicity, that's all we have, the miracle. The rabbis of the Talmud did not even talk about the conquest of the Greeks who had controlled our land. Probably was a political decision that they left it out, because after actually the Hashmonean dynasty that descended from Mattathias what they did was not exactly according to Jewish thought. They merged the priesthood with the kinghood. That didn't play well, certainly with the rabbis of the Talmud. What we do know about the history comes from actually Christian literature or even Apocrypha, the first and second books of Maccabees, which is in the Christian Bible. And there we have the narrative about Judah the Hammer, the Maccabee. Oh, by the way, it may be Midrash, but I want to share it with you. Maccabee, I was taught, could be an acronym for Mi Chamocha Ba'elim Adonai, who is like you among the gods. Adonai, but Judah the Hammer, their conquest with superior military strength was amazing. The Greeks were ousted, their pagan relics and practices removed from the temple in Jerusalem, and Judaism is restored, at least under the Hashmonean dynasty, until the Romans come and conquer the Promised Land. Josephus is our last source. He's a chronicler of life in the Promised Land in the first century of the Common Era. He makes reference to the practice of Hanukkah in his book of Jewish Antiquities. He talks about what is already in Maccabees 1 and 2. He says that Judea celebrated it for 8 days, and he was the one who named it the Festival of Lights. In Maccabees, it's called Chanukah Dedication. So that is the historical basis of Hanukkah, and eventually the military and the oil miracle were combined, and that's how we celebrate Hanukkah today.
Rock of ages, let our song praise thy saving power. Thou amidst the raging foes wast our sheltering tower. Furious they assailed us, but thine arm availed us, and thy word broke their sword when our own strength failed us, and thy word broke their sword when our own strength failed us. Ma'osur Yeshuati lechana leshabeach. Tikon betefilati v'sham toda nizabeach le'et tachin matbeach mitzar hamnabeach az egmor beshir mizmor chanukat hamizbeach az egmor beshir mizmor chanukat hamizbeach.
In the Talmud, there's a discussion between the house of Hillel and the house of Shammai on how you light the candles for Hanukkah. Hillel said you light one night the first candle, second night the second, and all the way up to 8. You build from 1 to 8. That was the decision of the house of Hillel. Shammai, on the other hand, said you start with 8 and you diminish them one by one. And his argument was, at Sukkot, you diminish the number of animal sacrifices by 1 over the days of Sukkot. This may be the first link we have between Hanukkah and Sukkot. There are other rabbis and other authors of Jewish antiquities that discuss the fact that when the Romans prohibited us from doing any Torah celebration, we found other ways to do it. And one of the ways was to mask Sukkot as Hanukkah. So there is a direct connect between Sukkot, which is 7 days, plus Shmini Atzeret, the 8th day, and Hanukkah, which is 8 days long.
Oy Chanukah, Ayontif, Ashener, Alusteker, Afrelecher, Nito noch a Zener, alle Nacht in Dreidel spielen mir, so de Chesse Latkes essen mir, Geschwinde sind Kinder, die Chanukah Lichtelechon, soll jeder Basunder besingen dem Wunder und tanzen fröhlich in Korn. soll jeder besonder besingen dem Wunder und tanzen fröhlich in Korn. Oh Hanukkah, come light the menorah. Let's have a party, we'll all dance the hora. Gather round the table, we'll give you a treat. Sevivon to play with and latkes to eat. And while we are playing, the candles are burning low. One for each night, they shed a sweet light to remind us of days long ago. One for each night, they shed a sweet light to remind us of days long ago. Oh Hanukkah, a time to remember, a joyful, jolly holiday that comes in December. Every night for 8 days, dreidels will spin, crispy little latkes, tasteful and thin, and nightly, so brightly, the candles of Hanukkah glow. One for each night, they shed a sweet light to remind us of days long ago. One for each night, they shed a sweet light to remind us of days long ago.
So let's discuss the origin of the dreidel, this four-sided top, called dreidel in Yiddish and sevivon in Hebrew, is a device used in a gambling game played during Hanukkah, usually by children. On its successive surfaces, there are 4 Hebrew letters: the Nun, the Gimel, the Hey, and the Shin. And when you play the game, the Nun, you don't do anything. Gimel, you take all. Hey, you take half of the money or chocolate coins. Shin, you put another coin in the center. There are many legends about the origin of the dreidel. According to one source, it was played over 2,000 years ago at the time of Antiochus. Each of the Hebrew letters stood for an enemy of Israel. The Nun, Nebuchadnezzar, which is Babylon. The Gimel, Gog, which represented Greece. The Hey stood for Haman, and the Shin stood for Sair, Rome. Another legend has it that the dreidel was used to teach Torah at a time of Antiochus when it was forbidden. That if anyone saw anyone spinning a dreidel, they would think they were simply gambling. In truth, nobody knows the origin of the dreidel. The word dreidel is from the German drehen, which means to spin. And one could argue that the Jewish use of the dreidel for Hanukkah may be less than 300 years old. We are told that the Hebrew letters are an abbreviation of the phrase, let me get it oriented, Nes, Gadol, Haya, Sham. A great miracle happened there. Although in Israel, it's Nes Gadol Haya Po, a great miracle happened here. But maybe it's really, if it's from the German, the Nun, Nicht, which means you do nothing, Ganza, you take all, Halb, you take half, and Shtetl Ein, you put in. Whether the dreidel is ancient or relatively modern, it's as iconic to Hanukkah as the Chanukiah and potato latkes.
I have a little dreidel, I made it out of clay, and when it's dry and ready, oh dreidel I shall play. Oh dreidel, 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 I made you out of wood, and when you are all ready, I'll play you if I could. It has a lovely body with legs so short and thin, and when it gets all tired, it drops and then I win. Oh dreidel, 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 I made you out of glass, and when you are all ready, I'll play you on the grass. My dreidel is so playful, it loves to dance and spin, a happy game of dreidel. Come play now, let's begin. Oh dreidel, 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 I made you out of gold, and when you are all ready, I'll play you in the cold.
We're not the only ones who had a spinning top. Matter of fact, it was documented in the United Kingdom in the 16th century of the Common Era. And by the time, there were no Jews in England at the time. They were often used for Christians at Christmas as a gambling game called totem, or even teetotum, based on the Latin word for all. And even their tops had letters on each side. T for toto, take all, H for half, P for put, and N for do nothing. And those rules seem amazingly similar to the Jewish version. And I bet if we search, we can find dreidel kind of games in all other cultures.
Chanukah linda está aquí, 8 candelas para mí. Chanukah linda está aquí, 8 candelas para mí. Oh, una candelica, 2 candelicas, 3 candelicas, 4 candelicas, 5 candelicas, 6 candelicas, 7 candelicas, 8 candelas para mí. The festival of lights, celebration every year. In each window on the street, we love and Hanukkah is here. Oh, una candelicas, 2 candelicas, 3 candelicas, 4 candelicas, 5 candelicas, 6 candelicas, 7 candelicas, 8 candelas para mí. Muchas fiestas vou fazer, con alegrias y placer. Muchas fiestas yo fazer, con alegrias y placer. Oh, una candelicas, 2 candelicas, 3 candelicas, 4 candelicas, 5 candelicas, 6 candelicas, 7 candelicas, 8 candelas para mí.
We've talked about things that are important for Hanukkah, like the Chanukah, the 9 candlestick candelabrum, which is different from a menorah, which only has 7. We've talked about the dreidel. Now we get to talk about what's really Jewish, food. In the United States and in the West, we eat latkes. And I really think this comes out of the German or Middle European tradition, in an area where they had a lot of potatoes. So I don't know how you grew up, but I grew up with a 4-sided potato shredder. And I used to help my grandmother make latkes, and it doesn't count unless you get some of the skin and fingernails in the latkes. It does seem to come with it. Latkes made in a food processor just don't have the same texture. The reason a little onion, a little schmaltz put in, and we fry this in oil because oil is the symbol for the holiday, that cruise of oil that lasted 8 days. Well, apparently in Israel, they didn't have a lot of potatoes, but what they did have was wheat. So in Israel, instead of latkes, they eat jelly donuts called sufganiyot. They're powdered donuts that are filled with jelly, and those two are prepared in oil. And that's how they celebrate the holiday of the oil. So those of us from Middle Europe have latkes, and those in Israel have jelly donuts, sufganiyot.
Light 1 candle for the Maccabee children, with thanks that their light didn't die. Light 1 candle for the pain they endured when their right to exist was denied. Light 1 candle for the terrible sacrifice justice and freedom demand. But light 1 candle for the wisdom to know when the peacemaker's time is at hand. Don't let the light go out, it's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out, let it shine through our love and our tears. Light 1 candle for the strength that we need to never become our own foe. And light 1 candle for those who are suffering pain we learned so long ago. Light 1 candle for all we believe in, that anger not tear us apart. and light one candle to find us together with peace as the song in our hearts. Don't let the light go out, it's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out, let it shine through our love and our tears. What is the memory that's valued so highly that we keep it alive in that flame? What's the commitment to those who have died that we cry out they've not died in vain? We have come this far always believing that justice would somehow prevail. This is the burden, and this is the promise, and this is why we will not fail. Don't let the light go out, it's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out, let it shine through our love and our tears. Don't let the light go out, it's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out, let it shine through our love and our tears.
At this time, we think of members of our community whom we feel could benefit from a healing prayer, whether for physical, spiritual, psychological, or emotional healing, whether at home or in a hospital or in hospice. So at this time, please think of those people you feel could benefit from a healing prayer, and feel free to say their name or names, and I will be quiet. Mishaberach Avoteinu, Avraham, Yitzchak, v'Yaakov. Mishaberach Imoteinu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, v'Rochel. May the one who blessed our fathers, may the one who blessed our mothers, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer. Hear our prayer and bless us as well. We will continue with the Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כאויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, let us meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. Yard sites for the month of December are Jacob Barr, Nettie Bernbach, a member, Helen Berger, mother of Elaine Moses, Ruth Chernick, mother of Michael Chernick, Samuel Chernick, father of Michael Chernick, Rose Dichter, mother of Irene Shapiro, Maurice Dooney, a member and husband of the late Sonia Dooney, Anna Fox, mother of Florence Lang, Lawrence Friedman, father of Steve Friedman, Morris Hine, father of Joe Hine, Herman Kravitz, husband of Mimi Goldstein, H. Shirley Levine, wife of Rabbi Levine, Adele Meltzer, mother of Arnold Meltzer, Norman Nissenson, mother-in-law of Rabbi Saltzman, Saul Olin, father of Erwin Olin, Abe Parsant, father-in-law of Minna Parsant, Abraham Pollock, father of Mary Ann Dubner, Abraham Sowelson, father of Beth Zemet, Barbara Schaefer, wife of Irv Schaefer, Isidore Skolnick, father of Estelle Hine, Rebecca Temin, mother of Adele Lerman, Janet Werner, wife of Sid Werner, Max Walk, father-in-law of Sandra Walk, Morris Zaritsky, father of Irving Zaritsky. If there are names I have not mentioned, you're still within the Shiva, the first 7 days, or the Shloshim, the first 30 days, or even the first year, or if the month of December marks an anniversary of a passing of a loved one, please share their name or names. And again, we'll be quiet and allow that to happen. Zichronam lebracha, may their memories be for a blessing. And now the Mourner's Kaddish on page 154, and I will do it slowly. Yit Gadal, V'yit Kadash, Shemei Rabbah, V'yalma Divrach Yerutei, V'yamlich Malchutei, V'chayechon, V'yomechon, V'chaye Dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala, V'zman Kariv, V'meru, Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mivorach, Leolam Ul'olmei Almaya, Yit Barach, V'yishtabach, V'yit Pa'ar, V'yit Romam, V'yit Naseh, V'yit Hadar, V'yit Aleh, V'yit Halal, Shmei Dekudisha, V'rechu, Le'ela Mim Kol Birchata V'shirata, Tushbechata V'nechemata, Da'amiran V'yama V'meru, Amen. Yehei Shlomo Rabba Min Shemaya, V'chaim Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael, V'meru, Amen. Osei Shalom V'merumav, Hu Ya'aseh Shalom, Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael, V'meru, Amen. V'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel, V'meru, Amen. May the source of peace and peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. And we affirm by saying, Amen.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. All through the night, I'm gonna let it shine. All through the night, I'm gonna let it shine. All through the night, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
And now I would like to do a prayer for our country written by a friend and colleague of mine, Rabbi Rachel Barenblatt, who calls herself the Velveteen Rabbi. Matter of fact, she has a website with that name. O God and God of our ancestors, receive our prayer for this land that we love. Pour out your blessing on this nation and its government. Give those who serve our country appreciation for the Torah's principles of justice and peace. Help them to see your face in every constituent. Cultivated them and in us awareness that we are all one family, obligated to care for each other with compassion. Banish hatred from our hearts and from the hearts of our elected officials. Help us to make this country a light unto the nations. May it be your will, our God and God of our generations, that this nation be a blessing to all who dwell on earth. Help us to enact the words of your prophet, nation shall not lift up sword against nation, nor shall they learn war anymore. And let us say, Amen. At this time, I will bless the congregation with a priestly blessing. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and protect you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. May God's countenance shine upon you and be gracious unto you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God look with you with favor and grace and love and the greatest gift of all, the gift of peace. And we affirm by saying, Amen. We will end our service with one more Hanukkah song, after which we'll have a Kiddush. Joan, please give us the honor of the last song.
Mi yemalel gvurot Yisrael otan mi yimne hen bechol dor yakum hagibor goel ha'am. Mi yemalel gvurot Yisrael otan mi yimne hen bechol dor yakum hagibor goel ha'am. Shma bayamim hahem hazman hazeh Maccabi Moshiach uvodeh Uvyameinu kol ha'am Yisrael Yitached yakom lehigael. Who can retell the things that befell us? Who can count them? In every age a hero or sage came to our aid. Who can retell the things that befell us? Who can count them? In every age a hero or sage came to our aid. Hark! In days of yore in Israel's ancient land, brave Maccabeus led the faithful band. But now all Israel as a one arise, redeem itself through deed and sacrifice. Who can retell the things that befell us? Who can count them? In every age a hero or sage came to our aid.
Well, I hope you have your glass of wine or perhaps a glass of grape juice, Kedem grape juice, ready as we do the Kiddush and then the Motzi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagofen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho b'yavav ratzon inchilanu. Zikaron l'maseh bereshit, ki hu yom techila l'mikrei kodesh, zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim, kivanu v'charta, ve'otanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, Shbat kadshecha, ve'avahu ratzon, hinchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai, B'kadesh HaShabbat. Amen. L'chaim. Oh, Kedem makes the best grape juice. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. B'tei avon. Good appetite, everybody. Now, the service may be over, but we're not. So for those who are watching this at 7:45, hang out with me and we will have a live Kiddush so we can be together. Chag Sameach and good Shabbos.
One for each night, they shed a sweet light to remind us of days long ago.